Hi and welcome to the channel. I'm Paul and I'm out at the Waitangi Regional Park, which is a site situated on the coast between Napier and Hastings in the Hawke's Bay region of New Zealand. It's on the east coast of the North Island. So come on through. I'm operating my little DJI Neo drone here, not using the controller which is in my hand, but having it fly autonomously, doing a follow just to try it out. Now I've connected up the controller and let's go for a little flight, see what we can see here. We'll start off by just hovering near the celestial compass there. It's an installation which is being carved by local carvers. The idea being to illustrate the skills and tools of the ancient Maori who navigated here from somewhere in the Pacific when they came to New Zealand hundreds of years ago. So a quick look at that. As you can see there are some figures on some of those poles, or po as they are known, but it's still incomplete. It's an ongoing project. So turning around, you can have a look at the waterways beyond. This park actually links the three rivers. In fact, it links the Tukituki, the Narororo and the Tutaikuri. There are also some coastal reserves here. The park in total covers about 300 hectares along a 5 kilometre strip of coastline. Lots of wild birds here, including heron, spoonbill, godwits and gannets. And as you'll see as we get over the water here, sometimes they're not too keen on having a drone going around. They're sort of interested or perhaps hostile. You can see a lot of birds down there on the water, and as we start to head over the water you'll see the birds coming closer to take a look. I wasn't too comfortable with that. Partly I didn't want to disturb the birds, but also I didn't want them to dump the little Neo into the water, which would have been disastrous. So as soon as I realized what was happening here, I turned and went up into sport mode and got away from where the birds are as quickly as I could, heading out towards the coast there. Off in the far distance there's the area known as Cape Kidnappers, which is of historical significance. Now I've pointed the gimbal downwards so you can see down into the water there, and there's the beach, which is a stony beach thanks to all those rivers bringing stone out into the bay, and the stones are thrown back onto the coast by the tides. So we'll turn around, having got out to the coast here, and just look back inland along the river that comes across towards us. There we go, lovely reflection in the sunlight here. You see the mountains in the distance, and we'll just take a cruise across the water here towards the mouth of the river, which you can see ahead. Hopefully we're far enough away from those seagulls that they won't bother us this time. They seem to fly quite low down to the water, so I've got a bit more height here, and hopefully I won't disturb them and they won't disturb me. Let's see how we go heading across this way. It's a very peaceful scene. You can see the footpath to the left there, used by a lot of locals. Normally there would be people on that, but I was out quite early in the morning. This was about 6 a.m. in late springtime. More seabirds sitting on the water down there, but we don't seem to be disturbing them, which is great. Now, there are birds flying around, but they're some way below us. However, that was about far enough, as I'm some way away here. You can see the birds circling below the drone, and we'll just start heading back and see how we get on coming back across this way. And we're heading towards the area where those seagulls were earlier on. Hopefully we won't disturb them too much this time. I'm using the return to home function here from the app, the DJI Fly app. So let's see how that gets us back across the water. Lovely reflections on the water here. It was a very still morning. One thing I've found with the Neo is, of course, it's very small, very light, less than 125 grams, I think, from memory, and that means that it is quite vulnerable to gusts of wind, so you do need very good conditions. And here we see the seagulls are in the view of the camera again, not coming too close, perhaps just keeping an eye on it. Hopefully we'll just get past them here, back to where I'm standing straight ahead, but down by the celestial compass on the land there. Looking into the distance there as we approach back to the area where I'm standing, beyond the trees you can see there's a large white building with a couple of chimneys sticking up. That's a fertilizer plant. And then beyond that, way off in the distance, is the city of Napier, and then the Kawaka range, the mountain range behind it. If you were to head across that way and head over the mountains, you'd be heading west into the centre of New Zealand's North Island, towards the town and the lake of Taupo. So here we are, we can see the celestial compass coming back into view. That's where I am, standing down there. And let's see how we do for coming in for... Well, we won't land actually. I think I'll keep going and I'll try something here. I'd like to try to lock on to where I'm standing and see if we can do a bit of a rotate around. I'm not sure how well I'm going to keep the compass in the center of the image here. It's the first time I've tried to do this. Let's give it a go. You can see me standing there near the center of the celestial compass. I did have to wait a while. There were some people around when I first arrived. I don't like to bother other people, so I waited until they'd finished and left, and happily had the place to myself. Yeah, not quite in the middle of the picture there, but practice makes perfect, as they say. I'll have another go another time. But at least you get some sight of what's off in the distance, what's around us here. Now I want to fly a bit further, but the battery is down to about 40%, so I feel I'd like, just for security, to bring it in, swap it over for a new battery, and then we can take off again. So I'm using the return to home function here, bringing it into land on the celestial compass. Another seagull circling us there, but I think it'll leave us alone this time. And it's coming down pretty much where we started from. There I am, looking up, hopefully, and coming in for a very nice landing right where we started from. Very good, DJI. So I'll grab the Neo, turn it off, swap the batteries out, and then we'll take off again, show you a bit more of the area. These little batteries for the Neo really only give you about 10 or 12 minutes of safe flying. That's how safe I feel anyhow. So I swapped the battery over and decided to head back across over towards the mouth of the river we saw earlier. Head over the highway there, you can just see it coming into view. First there's some fishermen down on the riverside there, very popular spot for that. And here's the highway. This leads from Napier along the coast towards the little township of Clive and on into the city of Hastings. Behind the highway there's the railway bridge crossing the water. That's the bridge that was completely destroyed here when we had Cyclone Gabrielle about 2 years ago. It was closed for quite a number of months, but recently repaired and fully restored, in working order now, which is great for the freight. It's not a passenger service normally, but a lot of freight goes that way, carrying pine tree logs from other areas of the North Island into Napier port for export. So we can see the river down there beneath us. I think that one's the Tutaikuri, or is it the Narororo? Not quite sure. There's two there right next to each other. Hopefully we'll avoid the birds this time. I'm keeping further across, but turned around, back facing towards where I am at the celestial compass, off in the distance towards the top of your picture here. I've gained a bit of height, and we'll take a cruise back across over the bridges again, but this time higher up, giving you a pretty good view of the lay of the land there. It's a lovely morning, as you can see. Things look great. This little camera, I know there's been some controversy about, some people think the Neo's camera is not good enough, others think it is. I guess it depends what you're doing with it. It certainly relies on good light, and we had that on this morning, as you can see. Would it be good if it was better? I think it would be good to have a three-way gimbal because of the lack of weight in the Neo. It is quite easy for it to be disturbed by wind currents, and you'll often see a bit of a wobble there as we're flying along. That's not me controlling it. I had it on cruise control at this stage, but from time to time it just gives it a bit of a wobble, which spoils the footage a bit. It's a shame. Anyhow, we're making it safely back. We've avoided the seagulls this time, heading back towards the Celestial Compass down there just beyond the car park. There's a lot of cars gathering down there. You can see time is passing. There's also a building project going on there. Not sure what they're doing. Looks as if maybe they're putting in some facilities, restrooms, toilets and so on, would be my guess. So again, I've activated the return to home. I like to use that. Sometimes I'll do a manual landing, but I'm pretty happy with the return to home feature. You can see me standing just across there. I'd wandered around a bit while we were flying, so it didn't come down right next to me. Bit of a wobble, that's the wind affecting it. And then I started steering manually back into the hand. And that's us done for the morning. I hope you've enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Come back next time for another flight around New Zealand.